Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to an edition of the Wrestling Show on Drizzle Land. I apologize, I've been extremely ill and I'm just now starting to feel well enough to do videos. I was sick for about 3 weeks, so I had the plague basically. Anywho, we have lots of exciting news to talk about on this show. All Elite Wrestling, guys. The rally was a huge success. It went on during last week's SmackDown live. And we had a lot of interesting things happening. We got more information about the new company, who's going to be involved in it. They're talking about network deals. Chris Jericho made a surprise appearance at the end of the press conference. He is officially signed. It sounds like Kenny Omega is also going to be there. Hangman Page, the Young Bucks. This is something that's for sure going to happen. It's a real thing. I mean, they are really pursuing this. And I cannot be happier as a wrestling fan because we're going to finally have a company that might be able to, do like another Monday Night War like in the 90s. Because that's when professional wrestling was just phenomenal. And then we also understood that, there's going to be some huge changes coming to a lot of other companies because most of the independent talent is probably going to end up wanting to sign with All Elite Wrestling now because they know that they're going to get max deals. They're going to get fair, competitive competition. They're going to be pushed the way that they're supposed to be pushed. With Christopher Daniels and Kazarian also in charge of backstage productions with this new company, I think that this is a wonderful thing for all the independent wrestlers who want an opportunity for, success without having to go to WWE or Impact Wrestling or ROH or New Japan. So there's huge people coming out of New Japan also that are free agents that are probably going to end up signing with All Elite Wrestling. Kenny Omega turned down an offer from the WWE, and that was multi-figure deal that would have paid him really good money, honestly, and he turned it down. So we already know he's headed towards All Elite Wrestling. So the networks that have been pitched so far on these podcasts have been like networks like Vice, HBO, TNT, TBS. I even heard something about PBS at some point in time. Obviously, I don't think that this is going to happen right away. It's going to be more of like over the course of a few, months. But, I think that this is good for all the independent talent. You have another company right in the mix there, that can develop this going forward. Brandy Rhodes is highly involved with this right now. So are the owners of the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're putting a lot of money into this. I wish them well as a fan. I think that this is a wonderful opportunity for a new wrestling company to exist and hopefully, compete against some of these other companies. So we'll move on to the Impact Wrestling house show, Homecoming, which I thought was a very decent show. I thought the matches were 5-star matches. It was good to see Gail Kim on television again. I'm glad that they're starting to involve her in the company a little bit more. The whole Allie and Rosemary thing I think went very well. It's good to see Rosemary back. Wondering what they're gonna do with that rivalry. Eli Drake, the whole Abyss thing, that's interesting too. Overall, I would give that house show, probably a 5. I would say it was pretty decent. Um, so we'll go on to the WWE programming. Um, boy, Takeover Blackpool. Oh my God. That was an amazing event for NXT UK. I watched it twice. I thought that was the best NXT pay-per-view of this year, honestly, so far. Um, and I think that it really proved a fact that the NXT UK brand is something to not take lightly. They have a lot of great talent. I mean, Tony Storm versus Rhea Ripley was an amazing match. Pete Dunne versus Joe Coffey was a freaking awesome match. I was very impressed with that match. Um, yeah, I mean, every match on the card, honestly, Mustache Mountain, their tag team championship match, was amazing. I thought that it was, not one-sided at all. It kept going back and forth until the end, and unfortunately, they did not pick up the win. But overall, I think that they have a bright future in that division. Um, I'm just so proud of all those people. I think that they came a long way. They're proving their point that they belong on the mainstream wrestling circuit, and they're just doing their thing. And I think that that's what wrestling should be about. It should be about competition, not about storylines. Sometimes companies put too much into the storylines and not enough with the wrestling, and I think that that's what people want to see is more wrestling, and we're definitely getting that. So we'll go into NXT. This past episode, I thought was really really good. The Wrestling segment with Ricochet, I thought was really interesting. I think that that's a great rivalry, and they should continue that into Takeover Phoenix, which I think is going to be a really great pay-per-view, honestly, because Ciampa versus Black is going to be amazing. The tag team match is going to be amazing. Shayna Baszler versus Bianca Belair, I think, should be an interesting match. Overall, I'm looking very forward to this takeover in Phoenix. I think that it's really going to help NXT build their new stars. And we have some unfortunate news. Lars Sullivan was supposed to be making his debut soon, but unfortunately, he basically, from what I'm hearing, walked out. Something happened. There was an incident or some negotiations, contracts or something, and yeah, he basically walked out. So apparently the whole thing is being taken care of, but we don't really know when he's going to debut now. It sounds like EC3 will be on Raw. Lacey Evans will be coming to Raw as well. Nikki Cross had her last match actually in NXT this past week, so she'll be up, soon on SmackDown. And then I heard something about Velveteen Dream going to SmackDown, which I'm not against that actually, because that could actually kind of stir things up a little bit on SmackDown. I thought this past week's SmackDown was probably a 7. I thought the segments were great. I thought the matches were pretty interesting. I wasn't really bored with it. I mean, same thing with Raw. I thought Raw was pretty decent too. I do kind of wonder about what they're going to be doing towards the Royal Rumble with Raw, because I'm not really understanding what they're really building towards the Rumble. I mean, some matches are already booked, yes, but other things, have to still be adjusted. So we're still kind of in that point where we don't really know the full match card for the Rumble yet. So we're trying to figure out, that within 2 weeks here. Overall, I would say this past week's Raw, I don't know. I mean, I think that Raw's slowly but surely becoming a better show. I think that it will be better when they start calling up some of the NXT talent. Um, but overall, it's WWE, so you have to deal with what it is. I do like that they're pushing McIntyre, Finn Balor, and Lashley, and people who should be pushed. The Seth Rollins versus Dean Ambrose thing, it's getting better. Like this past week's match, actually, I thought was pretty decent. Um, but I think in the Rumble, I think what they should do, I would have Lashley win the Rumble, honestly. That's just my opinion.